Get this 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.
Here, get this, it's the second hour. That laugh belongs to Seth Rogen.
Yes.
The star, the man on the poster for Knocked Up, a very funny film coming out pretty soon. And normally what
5th
happens...
of July, Tone.
People just lie. They say, oh, this
They
film is
do.
hilarious.
And they'll know, because what I keep thinking is funny, because by the time they're in Australia promoting it, everyone knows if it sucks, because it's already come out in the States, and like if it's bombed already, what do people come here and say? They're like, well, no one in America, our target audience liked it, but maybe you guys will think it's funny.
It's often suspicious when someone comes here.
Yeah.
When Pauly Shore is out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Knocked Up, it's a very funny movie. Just explain for people who don't know what we're talking about, what goes on.
My character is basically me. He's a moronic pothead from Vancouver who lives with all his friends, who are my actual friends.
In real life.
Yeah, and basically I go out one night and get drunk and meet Katherine Heigl's character, who works at E! Entertainment Television, and I monopolize on her lapse of judgment and inebriation, and manage to sleep with her without a condom through a semantical miscommunication, and then we get pregnant, or she gets pregnant, and she kind of decides to give me a shot and see if she actually wants to have a relationship with me.
Now, you've been bumped up the order from, if people remember the 40-year-old virgin, just explain who you were in that one.
I was Cal. I was like the guy with the tattoos, with the giant goatee. Who I have no story in that movie. I'm just around. I make jokes about having sex with grandmothers. And,
I remember what I loved about that movie is it looks like it's the proper film lighting that you see in normal Hollywood comedies, and yet people are talking about stuff that it feels to me like a lot of it's improvised.
Yeah, it is a lot of. It's primarily, we kind of say the script is like the worst case scenario. And it's funny to begin with, but it's, if we can't think of anything better, we have the script, and we kind of shoot the script a couple times, and then they really open it up and just say, like, what would you guys be talking about here?
Well, because there was an example of it in Anchorman, which was you were in briefly.
I'm eager cameraman.
But that was...
May I say you were very eager in that
I was
too,
eager.
Seth.
I added the eager.
But that was produced by... Judd Apatow, who wrote and directed 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up.
Yeah.
And there's a line in Anchorman that just is one of the funniest lines I've ever heard, and it's where they've been to a party, obviously in the 70s, and Steve Carell is saying what he did at the party, and he goes...
Well, yeah, and he just kept saying, I ate a big red candle.
I had a big red candle.
Yeah.
And then if you watch the credits at the end, they're just chucking him that line, and he's just improvising stuff.
That's a very good example of how we shoot things. I mean, for every joke in the movie... we have 10 other jokes because we never think we're funny. And we always think, like, if no one laughs at that, we better have some other ones to put in instead.
But you end up with stuff in the movie that doesn't feel like, as we say, a computer's written the script.
Yeah.
Nobody would talk about Michael McDonald.
No, exactly.
Or Beautician and the Beast.
But we did that. That's, when you have guys who are basically movie nerds like ourselves in the movie, that's just where our brain goes. I mean,
and did you say you have a favorite film that you refer to?
I refer to Total Recall a lot. There's some
beauty.
undeclared, and I find myself referring to Star Wars a lot in movies. But I'm like a normal Star Wars fan, but like I don't know why. It just seems like it's just a reference I know everyone will get.
When you say normal, do you mean no figurines?
No, I have a lot of figures.
Oh,
Well, I guess normal for like an extremely nerdy movie obsessed guy.
Were you the guy in 40-Year-Old Virgin who recommended that Steve Carell base his romantic approaches on
David Caruso from Jade, specifically? That's funny. It's always like stacking the deck when we say things like that because we're like, movie critics will get this joke. And it's funny because almost every article that came out about the movie critics were like, oh, they have the funniest David Caruso joke, but no one in the audience laughs. It's like, it's a joke only movie critics get.
I'm surprised people haven't seen Jade.
I know. Who hasn't seen Jade? I think that introduced me to adulthood, the movie Jade.
But isn't that the poster that keeps on giving? Because it's green.
It's a woman's back. It's like a...
and you think she's just sitting down, but then just in the corner, there's a man's hand, and you realise what's really going on.
Yeah, it's sexy.
Growing up in the video store, that was a go-to.
That was a go-to.
All I remember is about Jade is that it was done by the bloke who did the French Connection.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone went, oh, he's going to have to top the car chase from French Connection. And his idea was, let's have a car chase in a traffic jam.
Yeah.
And it sounds funny in a meeting.
It's not funny.
Not in the movie. Stalled. Seth, were you giving us some great acting advice off air by David Caruso?
Yes, it's to prevent them from cutting you out of a scene. You do something like put on your glasses or take off your glasses so they can't remove that part because it would ruin the continuity.
Oh, is that why he's always going with the sunglasses?
He's always going with the sunglasses so they can't cut him out of the scene.
And if they start that, he'll wear 2 pairs.
He'll wear 2 pairs. He's just taking his pants off. Getting tattoos in the middle of scenes and stuff.
Good move. It's the most eccentric delivery on television, isn't it?
David
really?
Caruso?
Yeah.
He's an unlikely woman for like 50-year-old women to really like to watch every night.
But enough about Caruso because he's not in Knocked Up, a film that absolutely kills. And
That's an interesting choice of words.
well, I just meant it's a very funny film. People are going to laugh.
I guess we'll see about that.
All right. Sorry. Any excuse for
I just got scared. I don't know what that was.
frightens
A
me.
menacing red-headed man coming after me.
Knocked
He's
Up.
the most menacing ginger nut, isn't he?
He might be the most menacing ginger ever. That's not generally 2 words that go hand in hand.
I mean, Conan O'Brien gets a little threatening.
Exactly.
Deadly ginger nuts. Next. I'm going right down to the bottom of your resume, Seth. There's a show which was shown here. A lot of here's an Australian tradition. You may don't.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have this in the States. We get really good shows from overseas, and we put them out at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I was told, actually.
And one of those shows
For
was
bakers.
Bakers love it. Freaks and Geeks. Was that the first thing you ever did?
Yeah, that was the first acting I ever did in my life. Was Freaks
Now,
and
that
Geeks.
is a show that not many people saw, but people who did see it will rave about it. What was it?
It took place in 1980, and it was about kind of like the misfit outcasts going to school in a Michigan high school in America, and there was kind of a group of like pothead burnouts who were the freaks, and there was a group of kind of Dungeons and Dragons obsessed nerds who were the geeks, and there was kind of a sibling, a brother and a sister that the show followed, and one was in each group, and I think it was really just painful for people to watch because it was the characters never won. It was like it was a lot like high school, where just terrible things were constantly happening to them, and they'd have like little tiny victories, kind of, but it was generally just them getting the crap kicked out of them and then going home and watching Monty Python, and which is a lot of what I still do that. So,
Sounds like a documentary to me.
Exactly, people, and I think it just hit too close to home for a lot of people.
But is that where you met this bloke, Judd Apatow?
Yeah, that's where Judd was a producer on the show and one of the writers, and they cast me out of Vancouver, having done absolutely nothing ever for no good reason at all. And it's a great show. People still, I mean, it's on DVD. People still are kind of discovering it, which is what's amazing about DVD. And people love it. It holds up, I think. I think it's still better than anything we've done.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't live up to that. Now, Judd Apatow has assembled this great cast of people who he uses in movie after movie. Paul Rudd, I think, might have been out here doing some promotion.
Yeah.
He's
shopping for a sweater right now.
Is
That's
he?
why he's not here. Because he's buying, if you're on Chapel Street right now, you might see Paul Rudd buying a sweater.
What a scoop.
He should be here.
if you don't know who Paul Rudd is, he's the bloke who looks a little bit like Ben Affleck, but is way funnier.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
It's because he's Jewish. you just explained exactly, Paul Rudd. He's kind of like Ben Affleck, not as good looking because he's Jewish, but he's funnier. So,
And you mentioned Katherine Heigl, but explain to us who Leslie Mann is, because she absolutely kills
Yeah, she,
in Knocked Up. Hilarious.
You might initially know her if you've seen Big Daddy. She plays like the Hooter girl in Big Daddy, and she's in George of the Jungle, the movie.
Right.
But she's Judd's wife, actually.
In real life.
Yeah,
Wow.
in real life, a lot of people know her as the drunk driving woman in The 40-Year-Old Virgin who vomits on Steve Carell's face, and then. We thought, man, that was funny. Let's give her more. And then her and Paul Rudd play like a married couple. She's Katherine Heigl's sister, and they're kind of a miserable married couple. that's kind of our future.
May I say, it's a grim view.
It is a grim view, I think, but oddly realistic. It seems like. It seems like people who are married that it hits a little too close to home.
This is the thing is there's big jokes in this movie, and then there'll just be a joke that just hurts.
Yeah, people.
It's so real.
Well, there's a thing in the movie where Paul Rudd's character kind of like lies about what he's doing, and that he actually goes and like sees movies alone.
Yes,
and he says he's working. That seems to be something that like a lot of married guys do. Like, I never even thought about doing that, but like ever since the movie came, everyone's like, I do that same thing. I'd say I'm at work and I'll go see Fantastic Four by myself.
The line that absolutely killed when I saw it is the line Leslie Mann says about how to change somebody who you're with.
You criticize them until they change. That's the theory. You make them so down on themselves that they then have to change.
It just seemed to ring true. And you mentioned Steve Carell, and what I love is he's become such a big star since 40-Year-Old Virgin that he actually appears in this movie as movie star Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. I know, it's really funny that like that happened. It was so surreal. And it's funny because as soon as he comes on screen, people just love him and they're so happy to see him, and they realize that they wish he was the star of the movie and not me.
Something, I don't know whether it's something that the bloke who makes these films does. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't seem to have as many bad guys in his movies as these sort of, comedies of this nature.
There's no bad guy, yeah.
There's no villains.
No, I mean, we really... The movies are written, he has the idea for what the movie's about, but then he really just collects stories from the cast members and our friends who are writers, and there's not really villains in life. I mean, usually you're the biggest idiot in whatever situation that's happening. I know I am. Whenever there's a problem in my life, it's my fault. It's no one else's fault. It's only because I don't know how to handle simple day-to-day things that other people do. And that's kind of where we take our cue from, in that, there is no bad guy. No. It's just people's own idiotic behavior is the bad guy.
But he seems to give, little characters in the movie great stuff to do. Like, there's a bouncer in this movie.
Oh, yeah, Craig, he's great, man.
Who in any other movie would just be a nasty bouncer.
Yeah.
And then he just stops that scene, takes him aside, and gives him this fantastic speech.
Yeah, he... it's funny. That's people who have one line in the movies that Judge Direct say that it's the best experience they've ever had, because he really just lets them go off. I mean, if you have one line in the movie, you will have gotten, 10 rolls of film to do that on. And it's funny because, I always think back to movies I like, and it's just funny, like, what characters leave an impression on you. And it's not always the big characters. I always think like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and, like, those two valet drivers always stick in my head, and they literally say like one line each in the movie, and they're like one of the funniest things to me for some reason. And so I think we just took a cue from that and think, like, if you just hire funny people to be these small characters, then they just bring a whole life to the whole movie.
Well, it certainly worked, but something we want to talk about today is Knocked Up. Obviously, there's children involved. Mm-hmm. Something that the movies has taught us is that, aren't they cute, those kids? Aren't they cute? But not all of them are.
No.
Some of them are evil.
They're ugly little bastards.
And I'm assuming because Knocked Up is about having a baby, you're getting inundated with baby stories, child stories, questions of that nature.
Yes, people speak to me assuming I know something about children other than not to squeeze their heads too hard. That's literally all I know going into this movie. Like, how do I deal with don't pop its head? Well, don't sit on its brain.
None of us know anything about having children. Our producer over there, Nikki Hamilton, has one, isn't in the process of having another one. Have you seen Knocked Up, Nikki?
Not yet, but I'm going to.
You might want to wait till after.
It'll scare the hell out of you.
But we're led to believe that they're cute as these children. Not all of them. No. Not all of them are. Can you give us an example, Ed Cavalier?
Well, yeah, what made me think of this is I went to a party the other day. It was like a launch of something or another. And there was a bit of fashion parade going on. Yep. And then like a 9-year-old kid got up and was like strutting up and down the catwalk, posing and having their photograph taken while their parents, their fashionista type parents, clapped along. Yeah. That's not cute.
No.
Look, I don't want to see a 9-year-old kid working it.
No. It's all a bit jumping, eh?
Yeah. And there was this dude there, Seth. Have you heard of him? He cuts up T-shirts. That's what he does.
That's his thing?
His job, his mission in life is
to cut up T-shirts?
Yeah. If you're wearing a T-shirt, he'll come up to you and be like, hey. And then he'll cut it up and turn it into basically a mesh singlet. And then he'll keep going along, and that's his go.
Does he get punched in the face a lot?
It's awards and then flown around the world.
You don't have any kids of your your own.
No.
No. And I mean, some people decide not to have kids, and we've decided not to have kids, and I can never picture the exact moment that happened, but I always remember speaking to a friend of mine who's got about 5, John Harrison from the D Generation,
5.
and I was speaking to him on the phone, and I said, "What are you doing right now?" And he goes, "I'm removing biscuits from the video recorder." And I think that was when I decided not to have any.
No, it must be terrible. I remember I was selling a couch recently, and people kept coming to look at it, and it'd take them like 2 seconds. They come in, look at the couch, say no, and then leave. And then like a mother came with her 3 kids. It literally took her 45 minutes to look at the couch because then like one's running around, one has to pee, one wants water, and it's just like I was like, "Get out of here! Take your kids and go."
You have nephews.
Yeah, I've got 2 nephews, and I always find that mothers of boys,
yes,
are a lot more frazzled than mothers of girls, because boys are always creating chaos. And there's 2 under 5, and every time I call my sister, I can't have a conversation with her because it's hello, put that down, put the dog down, like every time, and I can't actually. She never gets a full sentence out. But I went home and caught up with the kids, and immediately they're taking karate, so it was kick to the genitalia.
Oh, did you get it on film?
No, I didn't.
You could have won some cash.
Yeah.
Well,
it's costing you money.
Kids, they aren't so cute.
They're not so cute.
That's our topic today.
Yeah. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm the singer in a heavy metal band, and when you look at me, you can tell straight away this guy's in a heavy metal band.
What are you called?
Violence disorder.
Violent disorder.
I like that.
I like that.
Is there any other kind?
Well, anyway, look, this was ages ago, but I was leaving a record shop at a shopping centre, and I just bought a few CDs, and this little kid who was standing out the front looks at me and he goes, "You total freak."
Oh.
And I looked at him and I went, "I beg your pardon?" And he goes, "Zukachi, you total freak." And this kid just started giving me abuse, and I went, "You snotty little," and he burst into tears.
There you go.
They can give it, but they can't take it. That's the problem with kids.
Yeah, and then Mum comes over, and then she looks at me like, "Get away from my son!" Like I didn't touch the kid, and next thing I know, security's all over me. "Yeah, mate, you're out the door."
Yes.
But I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. I'm just the lead singer of Violent Disorder.
Exactly.
All right, that's an example. Have we got another?
Hello, Philip. How are you?
I've just got a 2.5-month-old at home,
Yes.
and he has a habit of, when I change a nappy, just as I'm getting one nappy off, he points his little peepee at me and pees all over me.
Oh.
I do that too. That's not a kid. That's not a kid.
He's got a big smile on his face while he's doing it as well.
Yeah, well, you can easily turn the tables there, see how he likes it.
Exactly.
Oh,
Give
I
him
might drown him.
a full man pee. A good hangover pee to the face. That's what that baby needs.
Solid advice. Don't cross swords with that man.
The thing is that he's actually peed and it's been like a fountain and splashed on his face and he's still laughing.
Still
Well,
laughing.
there you go.
That takes years to wear off.
Exactly.
All right.
Thanks, Philip.
He
Who
could get
else?
paid good money for doing that on camera a few years down the road. There's a large internet market for that.
Certainly is.
Hello, Kieran. How are you?
Oh, my darling 4-year-old son,
Mm-hmm.
dressed as Spider-Man, he has superhero issues, had climbed into the neighbour's chook yard and decided to rescue the chooks. And by the time I'd found him, he'd maimed quite a few of the chooks, and we found one chook in particular squashed between our garden shed and our bird aviary, and the chooks have never quite been the same again.
Wow.
Oh, that's not really Spider-Man style. Could have blamed it on someone else.
He was rescuing them, though.
What you need to blame it on a child dressed as Dr. Octopus.
Exactly.
It was like that.
That's it.
It's like that when I got here. They're not proving very cute, these children. Ed.
No.
Hi, Kelly. How are you?
My girlfriend's of European descent. She's very hot-headed.
Oh, yes.
She gets very frustrated with her husband, whose name is Joe, and she exclaims, "Oh, Joe, you dickhead effin'."
Yeah.
Yes.
My partner's name's Joe, so her little girl refers to him as Uncle Joe, dickhead effin'.
There you go. That is quite cute.
That's kind of cute.
Yes.
I like that.
That's not bad.
We're disproving our own premise.
Exactly. Kind of makes up for the other ones.
The foul-mouthed children. Can we go worse than that, though?
Hello, Fiona. How are you?
I have a 4-year-old daughter, and I'd like to put her on eBay because she's got the attitude of a 14-year-old.
What's her go? What is she into?
Oh, she just goes nuts. Her dad gets home from work and says, "Oh, how are you, darling?" Everything else. She calls him every name under the sun, then starts belting him.
I think that's child abuse.
Yeah,
is what that
lovely.
is. Well, okay, well that's certainly an example of what we're talking about. But I think there's probably enough infants on eBay as it is.
Exactly. I've pretty much bought them all.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a
Got a
backup.
fine collection.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep them in their package,
Yeah, they're worth
you
more.
can resell them. Yeah.
Can we have one more, please, Ed?
This one.
Hello there, Ellie. How are you?
My husband has just restored his dream car, which is an old FJ Holden, and he's a spray painter, so he's just finished off spraying it in the garage. And my little girl went out there the other day, and he hadn't cleaned his tools properly, so she decided that she was going to pull the trigger, and just that little bit of air left in there, all down the side of the freshly painted FJ, so he's being devastated. I'm still laughing.
Still laughing.
Nothing like the old hubby's dream shattered to get the yucks going, hey?
He always said he wanted his girls to be just like him and love him, so...
There we go.
And this addition to the design, it can't be worked into the design, made to look deliberate?
Made to look like a flame at all, can it?
It sort of looks like an upside-down face.
Okay, well, that's...
Not bad.
Just say that was the effect you were aiming for.
Exactly.
All right, well, I think we've proved our point.
I like that it's funny that a kid got hold of a high-powered spray gun.
Yeah.
Not worried at all. It was just hilarious.
That's hilarious.
As the show just continues off.
Sorry,
yes,
a bit of Meatballs 4
Just
talk.
talking MB4. That's all.
Seth Rogen is with us. Have you seen Meatballs 4?
Oh, yeah, I've seen all the meatballs. That's the most recent of the meatballs.
It's the last in the...
quadrilogy.
Yeah, thank you for attempting that. I backed away.
It's the one where the lady's shower just collapses for no reason.
Under
at
the
all.
weight of Norks.
Yeah. But I heard they're releasing 3 prequels to the Meatballs movie. No.
They're digitally
Exactly.
They're adding, creatures to the original.
Redux.
Don't want to see that.
Add Rodney Dangerfield, which is something we champion.
Where have you seen Seth Rogen? You're probably wondering. Well, if you've seen Knocked Up, 40-year-old virgin. But did you know you may have heard him over the weekend if you were at Shrek 3? What voice did you do in that?
I play a ship captain. I'm told I have 2 lines in the final version
Hey,
of the movie.
well done.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Okay.
And I'm obsessed with myself.
Eager cameraman in Anchorman.
Very eager.
Donnie Darko.
Yeah, Donnie Darko.
Who are you in that?
I'm one of the bullies. I don't know if you remember the movie.
The bullies, yeah.
I throw Jenna Malone under a moving vehicle at the end of the movie.
Oh, at the very end. Right.
That's you.
Yeah, I don't get that movie. Anyone wants to call in and explain it to me?
Well,
I'd love to hear it.
The bloke who made it has made another film and it's never come out.
Southland Tales. It's supposed to come out, actually. A lot of our crew on the movie we just finished worked on it, and I heard it is equally, if not more, confusing than Donnie Darko.
Good.
That's the way. Now, tell us about your writing, because you write movies as well.
Yeah, I've been. I didn't act for years, actually, kind of between Freaks and Geeks and the 40-year-old virgin. So I was pretty much just working as a writer, and I wrote for some TV shows, and then the whole time we'd been writing this movie called Superbad that we actually started when we were in high school, and it's really filthy. It's kind of about these 2 guys who are going to different colleges, and they have real separation anxiety, so they kind of just dump all their energy into buying liquor and getting girls drunk, so they just have someone to hang out with. And it's just really filthy, truly filthy in a way that I don't think people have seen before.
Right.
And it took a while to get made, but now we shot it and made it, and it comes out later in the summer, maybe early early spring.
You and
guys.
Michael Cera.
Well, it's actually it's funny because originally we
right.
wrote the main guy to be me, but I outgrew it. So Jonah Hill plays the character that was originally supposed to be me, and Michael Cera plays his friend, and I play a cop in the movie.
Right, Michael Cera from Arrested Development, of course.
George Michael.
Love on this show. And Superbad. Now, you mentioned your friends, and in Knocked Up, you just have this great bunch of friends.
Yeah.
And the interaction between them is hilarious, and they weren't cast.
No, they were my actual friends. I mean, they work
Good move.
What a break.
Exactly. They're all actors, luckily. That would have been weird if they weren't. And they're all really funny. I mean, yeah, we just thought, it'd be nice if we actually seemed like friends. Because you just watch movies sometimes, you're like, these guys don't hang out.
No.
But we actually all hang out all the time, so...
And in the movie, you guys are masterminding, 5 of you
Yes.
are masterminding a website.
Yeah.
And now this is something that obviously I grew up in the 70s before the internet, but there was a distributed list which
Really?
went around the school because this is pre-video
Yeah.
of whereabouts in movies breasts appeared.
Yeah.
And, like the exact, 2 minutes 42.
The time bar, yeah.
Yeah.
We take that to the next level. Our job is, we're trying to log every nude scene ever in a movie so on the internet. It's just a quick reference guide so you could just look up a movie, Wild Things. You see 38 minutes in, Denise Richards. Like 62 minutes in, Denise Richards.
Because I wasted a lot of time in high school.
Exactly. There's a lot of there's a good hour and 20 minutes of unwatchable stuff in that movie, and a good 6 minutes where Nev and Denise Richards are making out.
Yeah.
And you see Kevin Bacon's penis in that movie.
Yeah.
There was a big debate whether or not to include that.
Yeah.
There was actually a long discussion that we shot for the movie where we talked about Kevin Bacon's penis, and one of the actors said it was like the Mona Lisa in that wherever you are in the room, it's looking at you.
What I love is I'm watching the movie and I'm going, but hang on, hasn't somebody actually done that? Surely there are websites like that.
Yeah.
And the scene in the movie where you guys discover that someone's beaten you.
We discover that, that's the real webpage, MrSkin.com.
That is a great scene.
And it exists. That's where we got the idea for the movie. We're like, what if we're making a webpage like Mr. Skin? And they're like, what if Mr. Skin also exists? And our guys are really stupid.
It's like their dreams have just shattered.
Exactly. It's like we shot a whole scene where like I'm trying to say that it's not that bad, and they're like, "Here's an idea. Let's make a webpage where we can auction off things online, or like a webpage where you can just buy books.
Well,
and we'll name it after a river."
Look, it is a genuinely funny movie, and it's great to hear real laughs in the cinema once again. Time for us to sign off here. Get this. Thanks for sitting in for the whole hour, Seth Rogen.
I made it, guys. I made it.
Yeah, the marathon is over.
Get this, it's blown out to 2 hours, 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.